think you know who's in your corner, but do you? See, life has a way of revealing the truth, but only if you're willing to open your eyes. Some of the closest people in your life are the ones holding you back. Not through open attacks, not through obvious sabotage, but through quiet doubt, subtle discouragement, and whispered negativity. They smile in your face but secretly root for your downfall. They call themselves your friends, but deep down they resent your growth. The most dangerous enemies aren't the ones who stand against you, they're the ones who stand beside you, pretending to care. You know the type. The ones who only show up when they need something. The ones who never clap when you win, but always have something to say when you fail. The ones who act supportive, but secretly feel threatened by your ambition. It's time to wake up. Stop assuming that just because someone's been around for years, they're meant to stay. Not everyone around you wants to see you win. And if you're not careful, the very people you trust could be the reason you never reach your full potential. Some people are masters of disguise. They show up when you're winning, but disappear when you're struggling. They celebrate you in public, but envy you in private. And the scariest part? They're good at making you believe they have your best interest at heart. You've seen it before, the friend who always supports you, but never actually shows up when it matters. The family member who gives you advice that somehow always leads you in circles. The coworker who pretends to encourage you, but secretly hopes you fail. Learn the difference between genuine support and subtle sabotage. Real support isn't loud words, it's consistent actions. The ones who truly want to see you win don't just clap for you, they push you, they challenge you, they hold you accountable. So don't be fooled by empty words and fake smiles. Kindness, when it's just a cover, is the most dangerous weapon of all. It makes you trust the wrong people. It makes you keep doors open that should have been closed a long time ago. And if you're not careful, it'll keep you surrounded by people who don't actually want to see you succeed. Every betrayal has warning signs. The problem is, most people choose to ignore them. You know that gut feeling you had but brushed off? The way they downplayed your success? The way they laughed at your dreams instead of pushing you forward? That wasn't just in your head. That was reality trying to warn you. See, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. You can't afford to keep making excuses for those who constantly drain you. You can't keep pretending that just because someone was there for you once, they deserve to be there forever. Ignoring red flags doesn't just cost you peace of mind, it costs you progress. It costs you opportunities. It costs you years of your life that you'll never get back. You can't change people, but you can change who has access to you. The wrong people will slow you down, distract you, and manipulate you into playing small. The longer you keep them around, the more they chip away at your confidence, your drive, and your future. It's time to stop ignoring the signs, because what you don't see, what you refuse to see, can be the very thing that destroys you. Once you see the truth, you can never unsee it. And that's the key, awareness. Because the moment you recognize the snakes in your circle, their power over you disappears. Awareness is your greatest weapon. It's what separates those who thrive from those who keep getting played. When you understand who's really in your corner, you stop wasting time on fake friends, energy drainers, and silent enemies. So protect your energy, guard your vision. Because not everyone deserves access to your dreams. Not everyone should have a seat at your table. If someone isn't pushing you to be better, what are they really doing in your life? Success isn't just about what you achieve, it's about what you allow. You can have all the talent, all the drive, all the potential in the world, but if you're surrounded by the wrong people, you will always be fighting an uphill battle. Start making better choices about who gets to be in your space. Because the moment you become aware, the moment you truly see what's happening around you, that's the moment you take your power back. And once you do that, there's nothing that can stop you. Manipulation doesn't happen in a single moment. It's not an explosion, it's erosion. It's a slow, calculated process that blinds you before you even realize what's happening. And that's exactly why it's so dangerous. It starts small, a harmless suggestion here, a subtle criticism there, a tiny guilt trip that makes you second guess yourself. I just want what's best for you, they say. And at first it sounds reasonable. After all, they seem to care. But over time, you start noticing a shift. Your decisions, no longer fully yours. Your confidence, slowly chipped away. Your reality, twisted into something you don't even recognize. See, manipulators don't take control forcefully. They don't demand it. They make you give it up willingly. They disguise their influence as love, concern, or wisdom. They make you feel like you're making choices, but in reality, You're walking down a path they've carefully laid out for you. Wake up, pay attention to the little things, because manipulation always starts in the details. The moment someone makes you question your own judgment, your own worth, or your own instincts, that's the moment you need to stop and ask yourself, who's really in control here? You're overreacting. That never happened. You're imagining things. These aren't just words, they're weapons. They're tools used by manipulators to break you down from the inside out. This is gaslighting, one of the most destructive forms of control. It's how manipulators make you question your own mind, your own memory, your own truth. One day you're certain of what you saw, what you heard, what you felt. The next, you're doubting everything, because that's the game. The goal is to rewrite the truth until you can't tell what's real anymore. The moment you start questioning your own sanity, they've won. Because when you don't trust yourself, who do you turn to? Them. And that's the trap. They make you think they're the only ones who understand you. They create a reality where they're the voice of reason and you're the unstable one. But let me tell you something. If someone constantly makes you feel crazy for speaking your truth, they're the problem, not you. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. And if someone is rewriting your reality to serve their own interests, it's time to walk away before you lose yourself completely. Ever heard the story of the frog in boiling water? If you drop a frog into a pot of boiling water, it'll jump out immediately. But if you place it in lukewarm water and slowly raise the temperature, it won't notice the danger until it's too late. This is exactly how manipulation works. It doesn't hit you all at once. It sneaks up on you little by little. It starts with tiny compromises. It's just one little favor, then small sacrifices. If you really cared about me, you'd do this. And before you know it, you're adjusting yourself, shrinking yourself, bending yourself into something you don't even recognize. One day you wake up and realize you've given up your dreams, your confidence, your identity, all for someone else's approval. That's why you have to pay attention. The signs are always there, but they're easy to ignore when they come wrapped in kindness, in guilt, in love. So ask yourself, are you making choices because you want to or because you're being conditioned to? Are you living life on your terms or on someone else's? Don't wait until the water's boiling. Get out before you get burned. The only way to break free from manipulation is to see it for what it is before it consumes you, because once you recognize it, it loses its grip. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, don't ignore it. That gut feeling, it's not paranoia, it's protection. The people who truly care about you will never make you feel weak, confused, or powerless. They won't make you question your own reality. They won't guilt you into doing things that go against your best interest. Set firm boundaries. You don't owe anyone blind obedience. You don't owe anyone access to your life if they constantly take without giving. You don't have to explain, justify, or convince someone of your worth. If someone is manipulating you, they don't deserve a seat at your table. And here's the hard truth. Some people will try to make you feel bad for standing up for yourself. They'll call you selfish. They'll say you've changed, but listen to me. Growth looks like betrayal to those who benefited from your weakness. You were never meant to be controlled. You were never meant to be molded into someone else's vision. Take your power back. See manipulation for what it is. And most importantly, never let anyone convince you that their version of reality is more valid than your own. Boundaries aren't just rules. They're a reflection of your self-respect, your values, and your personal power. And the way people respond to them, that tells you everything you need to know about their true character. A good person will respect your boundaries without hesitation. No explanations needed, no debates, no pushback, because real respect doesn't require negotiation. But a manipulator sees your boundaries as a challenge, as something to bend, twist, or break. They test the limits, not because they don't understand, but because they don't care. They'll make you feel unreasonable for setting boundaries. They'll call you selfish, difficult, or dramatic. But understand this, boundaries don't push away the right people, they expose the wrong ones. If someone gets angry when you say no, that's not a sign for you to give in. That's a sign for you to pay attention. Respect is simple. If you have to constantly explain why you deserve it, you're dealing with someone who was never going to give it to you in the first place. It never starts with something obvious. That would be too easy to catch. No, boundary violations start small. So small you might not even notice at first. Maybe they dismiss your preferences, saying, "Oh, come on, it's not a big deal." Maybe they pressure you to do things that make you uncomfortable, pushing just a little further each time. Maybe they forget your limits, acting like your boundaries are an inconvenience instead of a necessity. And then it escalates. Suddenly, your no is met with guilt trips. Your concerns are waved off as overreactions. You find yourself constantly explaining why something bothers you, only for them to ignore you anyway. Here's the truth. Someone who truly respects you will never make you feel bad for protecting yourself. They won't push you past your comfort zone to see how much they can get away with. They won't twist the situation to make you feel guilty for standing up for yourself. Boundaries aren't there for discussion. They are there for enforcement. And the moment someone crosses the line, even in the smallest way, you need to recognize it for what it is, a warning, a sign that this person doesn't respect you. And if you let it slide, they'll do it again. Every time you let someone overstep your boundaries, you teach them one thing, that they can get away with it. And trust me, they will. Because people don't stop taking advantage of you out of kindness. They stop when you make it clear that you won't tolerate it. At first, it's little things. You say yes when you want to say no. You brush off behavior that makes you uncomfortable. You make excuses for their actions, convincing yourself that it's not that bad. But then something happens, you look around, and suddenly you're walking on eggshells. You're exhausted from constantly adjusting yourself to keep the peace. You've given up pieces of your happiness, your time, your energy, all to accommodate someone who never had your best interests in mind. And the harsh truth, if you don't set your own boundaries, someone else will set them for you. But they won't be in your favor. They will use your silence as permission. They will take every inch you give them and demand more. You have to make a choice. Either control your own life or let someone else run it for you. And trust me, the cost of ignoring your boundaries is far greater than the discomfort of enforcing them. Setting boundaries isn't just about saying no. It's about saying no without guilt, without fear, without over-explaining yourself to people who are never going to respect you in the first place. You don't need to justify your limits. You don't need to apologize for protecting your peace. If someone gets offended because you won't let them walk all over you, that's their problem, not yours. The key is to set your boundaries, reinforce them, and make it clear that they are non-negotiable. If someone refuses to respect them, they don't deserve access to you, period. No second chances, no exceptions. And I know it's not easy. Saying no might feel uncomfortable at first, walking away might feel like a loss, but let me tell you something. Losing people who don't respect you is never a loss. It's a win. Your time, your energy, your peace, those are priceless. Stop giving them to people who drain you. Stop bending yourself for people who refuse to meet you halfway. Stand firm and remember, boundaries don't push away the right people. They protect you from the wrong ones. Not all damage is physical. Some people don't hurt you with their fists or their words. They drain you in silence, slowly, subtly, and by the time you realize what's happening, you're already exhausted. You know the feeling. You have a conversation with them, and by the time it's over, you feel like you just ran a marathon. You weren't even the one with the problem, yet somehow you're the one carrying the weight. They unload their burdens on you, but when you need support, they're nowhere to be found. They expect you to listen, to fix, to absorb their negativity, but what do you get in return? Nothing. Just the heavy feeling that lingers long after they leave. And here's the worst part. It doesn't happen all at once. It's gradual. One conversation here, one favor there, one crisis after another, until one day you wake up and realize you're running on empty. Some people steal your energy without ever laying a hand on you, and if you're not careful, they will drain you dry before you even realize what's happening. The first step to protecting yourself, recognizing who's feeding off your energy without giving any back. Energy vampires don't always look dangerous. They don't come at you with anger or aggression. No, they come with a story, a problem, a crisis that only you can solve. And at first you want to help. That's who you are. You listen, you offer advice, you try to be supportive, but then you start to notice a pattern. Every conversation is filled with negativity. Every situation is a disaster. Every piece of advice you give, ignored. Because they don't want solutions, they want attention. And it's always one-sided. You pour into them, but they never pour into you. They take your time, your energy, your emotional capacity, but when you need them, silence. Suddenly, they're too busy. Suddenly they disappear. Let me tell you something. Real relationships don't feel like a weight on your shoulders. A real friend, a real partner, a real supporter will not leave you feeling drained every time you interact with them. So ask yourself, do you feel lighter or heavier after talking to them? Are they adding to your life or just taking from it? The answer will tell you everything you need to know. A leech doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't warn you. It just attaches itself and starts feeding. And that's exactly how toxic people operate. They don't care if you're exhausted. They don't care if you're busy. They don't care if you're struggling. As long as they can take from you, they will. You'll notice it in the little things. They always need something, your time, your advice, your energy. But when was the last time they gave something back? When was the last time they checked in on you? When was the last time they made an effort to support you the way you support them? If someone only comes to you when they need something, but disappears the moment you need them, let me be clear, you are not in a friendship, you are in a transaction. And transactions don't build real connections. They build dependency, they build imbalance. And if you allow it to continue, you'll find yourself drained, exhausted, and wondering why you always feel so empty. You are not a fuel station for other people's problems. Stop giving energy to those who take and never give back. Your energy is your power, and not everyone deserves access to it. Start paying attention to how you feel after you interact with people. Are you energized or exhausted, fulfilled or frustrated, inspired or irritated? Your emotions are your guide. They will tell you exactly who's lifting you up and who's weighing you down. And here's the truth. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to you. You don't have to be available to everyone all the time. You don't have to feel guilty for protecting your peace. Cutting people off doesn't make you mean. It doesn't make you selfish. It makes you smart. It makes you intentional. Because if you don't protect your energy, no one else will. The moment you realize that not everyone deserves a seat at your table, your life changes. The moment you stop tolerating energy drainers, your peace returns. The moment you choose yourself over the people who drain you, you take back your power. So make the choice. Protect your energy. Walk away from those who take and never give, and surround yourself with people who pour into you the way you pour into them, because your energy is valuable and it's time you started treating it that way. Some people don't just live in chaos, they create it. They don't find themselves in drama by accident, no, they manufacture it. They stir up conflict, ignite arguments, and disrupt peace wherever they go. And if you look closely, you'll notice a pattern. The moment one issue is resolved, they find another. If there's no crisis, they create one. If there's no enemy, they invent one. They feed off the tension, the arguments, the emotional highs and lows. And if drama follows someone like a shadow, trust me, it's not bad luck, it's a choice. Why? Because dysfunction is their comfort zone. Chaos is their security blanket. Peace makes them uncomfortable because peace means stillness, and in stillness they have to face themselves. These people will drag you into their mess, get you emotionally invested, and before you know it, you're playing a role in a story you never even signed up for. But here's the truth, you don't have to participate. You don't have to be the hero, the fixer, or the emotional punching bag. The moment you recognize the pattern, you can make a decision, either get pulled into their storm or protect your peace. Drama isn't random, it's strategic. Toxic people don't create chaos for fun. They use it as a tool to control emotions, a tool to manipulate situations, a tool to shift blame away from themselves. They pit people against each other. They spread misinformation. They twist words and plant seeds of doubt. And the moment they're confronted, they play the victim. Why is everyone attacking me? I was just trying to help. This is all a misunderstanding. Sound familiar? That's because it's a cycle, a predictable, exhausting cycle. And if you're not careful, they will make you a part of it. They thrive on emotional reactions. The angrier you get, the more they feel in control. The more you try to defend yourself, the more they twist the story. And the longer you stay, the more drained and confused you become. So here's the truth. The moment you recognize the pattern, you take away their power. Stop explaining yourself. Stop justifying your feelings. Stop falling for the bait. Because once you see through their game, you stop playing it. And when you stop playing, they lose their grip on you. Have you ever heard of storm chasers? The people who don't run from tornadoes, they run straight into them. That's exactly how some people live their lives. They aren't just surviving in chaos. They are addicted to it. Peace doesn't serve them. It's too quiet. It's too stable. Stability means there's nothing to distract them from their own problems, their own insecurities, their own flaws. And that's the last thing they want to face. So they create storms, they instigate fights, they bring up old wounds, they make sure there's always a problem to solve, always a battle to fight, always something keeping the tension alive. And the question you have to ask yourself is this: are you willing to be dragged into their storm? Are you willing to sacrifice your own peace just to keep up with their chaos? Because here's the thing, chaos may be their normal, but it doesn't have to be yours. You are not obligated to participate in someone else's dysfunction. You are not responsible for fixing the mess they keep creating. You can let them chase storms all they want, but you don't have to go with them. The only way to win against a drama seeker is to stop playing their game. They want a reaction. They want you to engage. They want to pull you into their emotional roller coaster, and the moment you give in, they win. So don't play. Don't defend yourself. Don't explain yourself. Don't try to prove your innocence, because the truth is, they don't actually care about solving the problem. They just care about keeping the chaos alive. If someone constantly pulls you into their conflicts, take a step back, watch their patterns. Notice how every issue always leads back to them, and then make a choice. You don't have to engage. You don't have to fix anything. You don't have to carry the weight of their dysfunction. Walk away, disengage, cut ties if you have to. And most importantly, don't give them the reaction they're looking for. Because the moment you refuse to participate, their power over you disappears. The moment you stop feeding their chaos, they lose control. And that's when you win. That's when you reclaim your peace. That's when you break free from the cycle. So choose peace, choose yourself, and let them play their games alone. Empathy is the foundation of real human connection. It's what allows us to care, to understand, to support one another. It's the ability to recognize someone's pain, to step into their shoes, to feel what they feel. But some people don't have it. And that's not just a personality trait, it's a warning sign. A person without empathy doesn't care how their words or actions affect others. They can watch you struggle and feel nothing. They can cause you pain and sleep just fine at night. They see suffering, but it doesn't register. It doesn't move them. It doesn't change them. And that's dangerous, because a person with no empathy doesn't have limits. They don't have the inner voice that says, that's too far. They don't pause to consider how their actions might hurt someone. If you've ever tried to explain your feelings to someone and they look at you with blank indifference, you know what I'm talking about. If someone lacks empathy, you will always be the one who bends, the one who sacrifices, the one who suffers, because they are incapable of meeting you halfway. And that's not a relationship, that's a trap. You want to know if someone lacks empathy? Watch how they respond when they hurt you. A person with empathy will acknowledge your pain. They'll take responsibility. They'll try to make things right. But a person without empathy, they won't apologize. They won't reflect. They'll deflect. They'll justify. They'll twist the situation to make you feel like you're the problem. They minimize your feelings. You're overreacting. They dismiss your pain. It's not that big of a deal. They refuse accountability. You made me do it. And if you ever call them out, they'll flip the script. Suddenly they're the victim. Suddenly you're too sensitive. The absence of empathy isn't just a minor flaw, it's a red flag. Because if they can't feel your pain, they won't care if they cause it. And if they won't take responsibility, they'll keep doing it. So pay attention. If someone constantly makes you feel like your emotions are an inconvenience, if they have no remorse for their actions, if they show no compassion for others, don't ignore it. Don't excuse it. Because if they don't care about your pain, they won't care about your healing either. A person with no empathy isn't just emotionally distant, they are dangerous. Because when someone can witness your pain and feel nothing, there's nothing stopping them from causing more. No guilt, no hesitation, no remorse. These are the people who will betray you without a second thought, who will break your trust, then look you in the eye as if nothing happened, who will use you, drain you, discard you, and never think twice about it. And the longer you stay close to someone like this, the more you start to question yourself. You start to wonder, am I overreacting? Am I too sensitive? Maybe I'm the problem. No, you are not the problem. You are not imagining things. You are just dealing with someone who lacks the basic human ability to care. And let me be clear, if someone can watch you suffer and feel nothing, the risk isn't just emotional, it's personal safety. Because a person without empathy has no limits to how much damage they can do, and if you don't walk away now, the cost of staying will only get higher. Empathy cannot be taught. You cannot love someone into developing a conscience. You cannot explain to them why they should care. If they don't feel it naturally, they never will. So the best thing you can do, recognize the signs early and walk away. Because the longer you stay, the more they will convince you that your feelings don't matter, that your pain isn't real, that you should just get over it. But listen to me, you don't owe anyone unlimited access to your heart. If someone repeatedly disregards your feelings, stop giving them the chance to hurt you. Stop waiting for them to change. Stop hoping that one day they'll suddenly understand the damage they've done. Protect your peace, protect your energy, protect your future. Because cutting ties isn't cruel, it's necessary. Walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And if you feel guilty for leaving someone who lacks empathy, just remember this. They wouldn't feel guilty for hurting you. So let them go. Choose yourself. And never ever apologize for protecting your heart. Not everyone clapping for you is on your side. Some people are cheering not because they want to see you win, but because they're waiting for you to lose. These are the silent killers of dreams, the ones who smile when you struggle, the ones who subtly discourage you, who downplay your progress, who find a way to shift the conversation every time you succeed. And here's the harsh truth. Some people don't hate failure, they just hate seeing you succeed, because your success reminds them of everything they haven't done. Your ambition forces them to confront their own excuses. And rather than rising with you, they'd rather see you stay where you are, or worse, fall behind them. You can feel it. The passive-aggressive remarks, the lack of enthusiasm when you share good news, the way they suddenly disappear when things start going well for you. Pay attention, because real supporters don't need you to struggle to feel comfortable. They don't need you to shrink so they can feel bigger. If someone only claps for you when you're down, but grows silent when you're rising, that's not a friend, that's a roadblock. Sabotage doesn't always look like open attacks. Sometimes it's quiet, subtle, wrapped in fake concern and disguised as advice. It starts with little things. Are you sure that's a good idea? Maybe you should wait a little longer. I just don't want to see you get disappointed. They plant seeds of doubt, not because they care about your success, but because they fear it. They magnify your mistakes. They remind you of past failures. And when you hit a rough patch, they don't lift you up. They say, I told you so. They call themselves realists, but in reality, they are anchors, weighing you down, keeping you stuck. And if you let them, they will convince you to stay exactly where you are. Because they don't need to push you down to sabotage you. They just need to make you hesitate. They just need to make you second guess yourself long enough that you never take the leap. But here's the truth. People who truly believe in you will challenge you, but they will never discourage you. If someone constantly makes you doubt your own potential, they aren't helping you. They're holding you back. You ever heard about crabs in a bucket? Put one crab in and it will climb out, but put several together and none escape. Because as soon as one starts climbing, the others pull it back down. And some people, they operate the exact same way. The moment you try to rise, they remind you of where you came from. The moment you try to level up, they start making excuses for why you shouldn't. They aren't working to improve themselves, so they can't stand to see you moving forward. These are the people who laugh at your goals, who mock your ambition, who get uncomfortable when you start making progress, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your success exposes their stagnation. And instead of using your growth as motivation, they choose to tear you down. They tell you you've changed. They make you feel guilty for outgrowing certain situations. They try to convince you that aiming higher is somehow selfish. But let me tell you something. The only thing worse than struggling is staying stuck because you're afraid to leave others behind. You are not responsible for their complacency, and if they refuse to grow with you, they have no business keeping you from climbing. The people around you either push you forward or hold you back. There is no in between. If you have to downplay your success to keep someone comfortable, you're in the wrong circle. If you feel like you can't share your wins without triggering resentment, you're around the wrong people. Real supporters don't get jealous when you grow. They celebrate, they uplift, they challenge you to go further. So ask yourself, who's in your corner? Are they fueling your ambition or suffocating it? Do they encourage you to take risks, to step up, to chase bigger goals? or do they make you doubt yourself? Slow down and stay small. Because here's the truth. You don't need approval from people who don't believe in you. You don't need permission to succeed. You just need the courage to walk away from anyone who makes you feel like you don't deserve more. Stop explaining. Stop seeking validation. Stop waiting for people to cheer for you when they've already shown you they won't. Surround yourself with winners, with people who push you, inspire you, and celebrate you, not just when you're struggling, but when you're thriving. Because the right people won't just want to see you win, they'll help you get there. Some people never take accountability. No matter what happens, it's never their fault. They twist reality, shift blame, and turn every situation around until they come out looking like the innocent one. And if you're not careful, they'll make you believe it too. Playing the victim isn't just a bad habit, it's a strategy. A manipulation tactic designed to make you feel guilty for things that aren't your responsibility. They use their past, their struggles, and their misfortunes as a shield. Every time they mess up, they have a story, a reason, an excuse. But here's the truth. Life is hard for everyone. Struggles don't give anyone the right to manipulate, deceive, or avoid accountability. Yet when you confront them, somehow you become the bad guy. You're too harsh. You don't understand what they've been through. They shift the focus away from what they did and make the conversation about how your reaction hurt them. And that's the trap. Because the more you try to reason with them, the more you fall into their game. And the longer you stay, the more you start believing that maybe, just maybe, you are the problem. You're not. But they'll do everything they can to convince you otherwise. Want to know if someone is a professional victim? Watch how they respond to conflict. They always have an excuse. They rewrite the story to make themselves look helpless. They cry betrayal the moment they're held accountable. And when you call them out, they don't own up, they twist the narrative. Suddenly, you're the villain. Suddenly, they're the one who's been hurt. Suddenly, it's no longer about what they did, it's about how you made them feel. They use guilt as a weapon. After everything I've been through, how could you say that? They deflect responsibility. I had no choice. They rewrite history. That's not what happened. And before you know it, you're apologizing for something they did. Here's the truth. People who refuse to own their mistakes aren't looking for fairness, they're looking for control. And guilt is their favorite tool. Because the more guilty you feel, the easier it is for them to get away with anything. So pay attention. If someone always manages to make you feel bad for holding them accountable, it's not an accident. It's a strategy. And the only way to win is to stop playing their game. A wolf in sheep's clothing isn't harmless, it's strategic. And people who play the victim, they're not just seeking sympathy, they're using it as a shield. They hide behind their struggles. They paint themselves as innocent, misunderstood, unfairly treated. And the more they convince others they're the good guy, the easier it is for them to manipulate, deceive, and even destroy relationships. But look closer. If someone is always the victim, but somehow leaves a trail of broken friendships, damaged relationships, and constant drama behind them, what does that tell you? Real victims seek healing. Fake victims seek attention. They don't just share their struggles, they weaponize them. They turn people against each other. They twist the truth until reality is so distorted that no one knows what's real anymore. And worst of all, they make good-hearted people feel guilty for setting boundaries, for standing up for themselves, for finally saying enough is enough. But let me tell you something. The most dangerous person in the room isn't the one who's openly cruel. It's the one who plays innocent while pulling the strings behind the scenes. And if someone's victim story never ends, it's time to ask yourself, are they really the victim, or are they just a master of the game? The only way to win against a fake victim is to stop participating. They want you to argue. They want you to defend yourself. They want you to keep explaining, keep justifying, keep bending over backward to prove you're not the bad guy. Because as long as you're explaining, you're still in the game. But what happens when you stop? When you refuse to argue, when you set boundaries and stick to them, when you walk away instead of engaging in their endless drama, they lose control. The moment you recognize the pattern, step back. Don't engage, don't explain yourself. Don't fall for the guilt traps. Their power over you doesn't come from what they say, it comes from how much you react. So make a choice. Protect your peace, set your boundaries, and if someone refuses to take responsibility for their actions, let them play the victim alone. Because you are not responsible for fixing people who refuse to fix themselves. And the sooner you step away, the sooner you take back your power. Cutting people off isn't easy, but keeping them around, that's even harder. Because every second you allow toxic people in your life, they take something from you. They drain your energy. They steal your peace. They sabotage your progress. And the longer you hold on, the more damage they do. You know exactly who they are. The ones who manipulate, guilt trip, and betray you without a second thought. The ones who bring more stress than support, more doubt than encouragement, more harm than help. And yet you hesitate. You tell yourself, maybe they'll change. You remind yourself of the good times. You convince yourself that walking away is too harsh, too final. But let me tell you something. Walking away isn't about being heartless. It's about survival. Because if someone is poisoning your life, you don't wait until the damage is irreversible. You don't wait until they drain you dry. You don't wait until you're left broken and exhausted. You remove them now, not tomorrow. Not when it's convenient, now. Because the longer you hesitate, the deeper the wound. And the longer you wait, the more you lose. Guilt will whisper that you're being too harsh. Doubt will tell you you're overreacting. Fear will make you second guess everything. And that's exactly how toxic people keep you trapped. They make you feel guilty for prioritizing yourself. They convince you that cutting them off makes you the bad person. They feed on your hesitation because they know as long as you're doubting yourself, you won't leave. But let me ask you this. Has this person ever prioritized your well-being? Have they ever felt guilty for hurting you? Have they ever hesitated before draining you, using you, disrespecting you? The answer is no. And deep down, you already know it. The people you're struggling to walk away from wouldn't hesitate to do the same to you if the roles were reversed. They wouldn't think twice about choosing themselves over you. So why are you hesitating? Don't let guilt keep you bound to a toxic cycle. Don't let hesitation stop you from making the best decision for your future. Because the moment you push past the fear, the moment you let go, you will realize that losing them was never the loss, holding on was. Imagine waking up without the weight of constant stress. Imagine making decisions without manipulation, without fear, without second guessing yourself. Imagine being surrounded by people who genuinely support you, who want the best for you, who lift you higher instead of pulling you down. That's the life waiting for you on the other side of this decision. Because when you remove toxic people, something incredible happens. Your confidence returns, your energy grows, your mind clears. Opportunities start showing up, not because they weren't there before, but because now you can see them. The wrong people cloud your vision. They keep you stuck. They make you question yourself until you're too drained to move forward. But the moment you cut them off, everything shifts. You realize how much lighter you feel, how much stronger you become, how much potential you have without their negativity holding you back. And sometimes the only thing standing between you and your best life is the person you refuse to let go of. So ask yourself, are you willing to sacrifice your peace, your happiness, your future just to keep the wrong people around? Because if the answer is no, then it's time to make the choice that will set you free. You don't need permission to protect your peace. You don't owe explanations to people who have drained you for too long. You don't have to justify walking away from those who never hesitated to hurt you. The truth is, every second you wait is another second wasted. Another chance for them to take more from you. Another opportunity for them to convince you to stay stuck. How much longer will you let them win? Because that's exactly what's happening. Every moment you hesitate, every time you second guess, every time you hold on just a little longer, they win. But you didn't come this far just to lose. You've fought too hard, endured too much, and sacrificed too many pieces of yourself to let toxic people keep you from what's meant for you. So make the choice. Cut them out. Walk away and don't look back. Because the longer you wait, the more damage they will do. And if you don't choose yourself now, who will?